Well, hey guys, welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. We're getting down to the end of the year. Hey, it's been a phenomenal year for my business, for our business, and just a phenomenal year of fishing, phenomenal year. Had a great time making videos. Hope you guys enjoyed them. Wanted to take time out at the end of the year to say thank you to each and every one of you, because without all of y'all, it would not be possible for me and my family, for me to get to do what I love, to take care of my family, I guess is the way I should say that, right? So we are very grateful to each and every one of you. We want to take time out of our Christmas schedule to stop by here and tell you all that. And now we got a special Christmas video coming up, kind of a Christmas video. It's a faith-based testimonial about this guy from a couple years ago. You're going to get to hear about all the crazy stuff I used to do. So you might want to stay tuned for that. What do y'all think?
Yes.
Is your dad crazy?
Not so crazy.
Is dad crazy?
Yes.
Is dad crazy? Dad's crazy, so stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much, and Merry Christmas to each and every one of y'all.
Merry Christmas.
They'll catch on someday.
Well, Merry Christmas and welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. Today's video will be something very different. Probably be the only time we ever do anything like this on this channel. Today's video is going to be my faith story. The reason I'm doing this video is because the time of year, it's Christmas. And, you know, one of the biggest things that kind of bothers me, I guess you could say, or I just don't agree with, is how we get so caught up in all the festivities and the time of year and the kids and the presents and all this stuff that is awesome that comes with Christmas, that it seems like we leave behind and forget about the reason that we celebrate Christmas, the real reason to celebrate the holiday. And that is God sending His only Son down here to this earth and sacrificing His Son to save us from our own sins. And I'm not doing this to judge anybody or say that anybody is right, wrong, or indifferent in what they do or don't believe. That is not my place. I do not want to knock you. Main thing I want you to know is God loves you, so do I. That's the most important part about this. He loves you. He loves you so much He gave His own Son. I can't say that I'm good enough to love you the way that God does, but I love you too because He says I'm supposed to. Some of you don't like very much, but still love you. Just kidding. But I wanted to do this video, and it's not about, I'm not going to post this video on all the fishing sites that I normally do. This is just going to be on the YouTube channel. I just wanted to put this out there for people that are searching for it to have this video, so that hopefully, if there's somebody out there that might be struggling, might be on the fence on what they do or don't believe, maybe they've been down some of the same roads that I have, made some of the same mistakes I have, and they feel like maybe they're too far gone for God to love. You know, anybody that might be contemplating their belief, I just want to give you my story of everything that I've gone through and how God has touched my life, moved me in the right direction throughout my life, and is really the most important driving factor in my day-to-day life. So please don't think that I'm doing this to try and get clicks on my YouTube page or try and get views or anything like that. What I'm talking about today is way more important than any fishing, any business, any money, anything else that, you know, I might try to do through the fishing business or the YouTube channel. This is the most important thing to me personally that I'll ever do. So I really just want to put this out there in hopes that maybe it helps one person. If it does, then I'm glad I did it. And I don't care if it gets 5 views or 5,000 views or 500,000 views. If it'll help somebody, that's why I'm doing this. Because I feel like as Christians, if you're honest with yourself as a Christian, you read the book, you believe in the book, if you're not trying to reach out to others and trying to show other people in the world Jesus Christ, then you're really not doing what you're supposed to do as a Christian. And it's something I don't do near enough, and I need to get better at, and this video is just one way that I can try to do that. So for my story, it starts when I was very young. I think I was about 8 years old. It was around that time. I had a mother that would take me to church if I wanted to go. She never made me go. It wasn't a deal where she said, hey, you have to go to church every Sunday. And I'm forever grateful to her for that, because my stubborn mentality, the way that I'm built, if she would have forced me to go as a young kid, I probably would have rebelled against it. So her being the way that she was about it allowed me to come to God on my own terms, even as a kid that young. I really feel like it helped me get there faster because I was able to do it on my own terms. And I vividly remember the day that I gave my life to Jesus Christ. Like I said, I think I was about 8, maybe a year or two off on that age, but it's around that age. And it was at the end of a sermon. We'd gone several times to this church. It was at the end of the sermon, and they said that prayer that, everybody that's been to church has probably heard this. And it's that deal at the end where they say, hey, where they're praying at the end, and they say, hey, if you don't know Jesus, if you don't know God, if you don't have Him in your life, just say this prayer with me. God, I'm a sinner. I can't do life without you. I need you in my life. Will you please forgive me and lead my life, and I will do my best to follow you. Something along those lines. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a great speaker of any kind, but it's something along those lines is how the prayer goes. And I remember so vividly how much I meant what I was saying when I told God that I knew that I was a sinner, and I know that I can't do life without you, and I need you in my life. Will you please forgive me and lead me through my life? And that day I shared up my relationship with God, and that's all it takes. You do that and God's not going to leave you no matter what you do. So I did that day. I meant it in my heart of hearts. Moving forward, growing up, I become a teenager, I become an idiot. I become an early 20s, I become an idiot. It was, I think most people do. I think everybody does to some degree. I think I was to a lot higher degree than most. I played a lot of football. I grew up in Texas, and I played a lot of football, played high school football, and I played some college football. And I had some back-to-back years with knee injuries that made it to where I couldn't play football anymore. Once that went away, while I was playing football, I had goals, I was focused, I was driven, I had stuff to work towards. That was where I was going with my life. It was all I cared about, all I wanted to do. Once that was taken away, however, I was lost, to be honest with you. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was very sad, and I didn't know what to do with my life. The two things that were always there, whether I wanted them or not, whether I needed them or not, a lot of times I didn't want anything to do with them. But the two things that were always there were my mother and God. Whether I knew they were there or not, they were. But I went into some pretty dark places. And this is something that I don't say to brag. I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's funny. I think I wasted a lot of time doing this in my life. But I went to a dark place where I was drinking way too much. I mean, it was out of control. And I was doing drugs. And they weren't, I wasn't rolling up some leaves into some paper and smoking them. I was doing hard drugs. And I was doing them every day. And I was broke. I never had any money. I always had a pretty good work ethic. It didn't matter how much money I made because I spent it all that night. Whatever I had, I'd spend it all right away on drugs and alcohol. And it became a very bad lifestyle. And it was a lifestyle where I thought I was pretty much forsaken. I didn't think anybody cared. I didn't think anybody wanted anything to do with me. And I was in a dark place in my head and in my life. Little did I know that even during that time, God was pushing me right where I needed to be. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I may get emotional at some time throughout this. And I hope I can speak clear enough that you can hear and understand. But, these were bad times for me. And I'm not crying because I'm upset about how bad the times were. I get emotional when I think about how God loved me so much, no matter how much I spited Him, and how much I cursed His name, and how much I ran from Him. He always manages to reach out and nudge me in the right direction to bring me right back by His side where I belong. As I was going through this, spending all this money, it got to where I didn't have a place to live. I ended up, towards the end of this cycle, at my grandparents' house. My grandfather was as good of a male role model as any young man would ever hope to have. He worked every day except Sunday. He took every dollar he ever had and gave it right back to his family. The rule was, when I lived in my grandparents' house, that on Sunday you weren't allowed to do anything to go to church. You didn't work, you didn't do anything else, you weren't allowed to skip, you had to go to church. That was their rule. I didn't know at the time, but that was their way of getting me back on the right path, of trying to help me get my life together. This carried on for a while, but I was still being an idiot. I was still going out, I was still drinking, doing drugs, bringing drugs back to my grandparents' house. Probably the lowest moment in my life. I felt so ashamed of it, of myself, for doing that in their house, because there's so many people. It was embarrassing. I hated myself for it, but I did it. That's how out of control it was. Little did I know, God still loved me. He still had his hands on me. Like I said, they made me go to church every Sunday. One of those Sundays, at this time I was working for my father's company, and it was going okay. You know, things were going okay over there, and I was showing up to work every day. And they took me to church, and the sermon was about how God wants you to do what you're passionate about. Well, I got to thinking about it. I couldn't play football anymore. I didn't have the patience. I wasn't smart enough to go back to school and stay motivated enough to do it without football. I knew I'd never make it through school. So I couldn't make it through school and get a degree where I could be a coach. So football is gone. That option's out. That's what I was passionate about. What else am I passionate about? Well, my family and my country. I was a very patriotic young man. I was always very proud to be from America. Always very proud of everything that America has always stood for. Like a lot of us are, I think. But I was very passionate about it, more than most, I would say, especially for my age. Well, the best way that I can do something I'm passionate about, in my opinion, at that time, was to serve my country in the military. And I always knew that if I joined the military, the branch would be United States Marine Corps. And that was because there was a friend of the family, who was basically like part of the family, that I knew growing up, and through some of the actions that I saw him perform in my formative years, I knew that if I joined the military, I wanted to be in the branch that guy was in. So Billy Meeks, thank you, sir, if you see this. So I decided that day that I was joining the United States Marine Corps. And I was still doing drugs, still drinking, still being an idiot. But God put me in that position where I had to live. He said, if you're going to be bad, I'm going to steal you here. Put me in my grandparents' house. He said, they're going to make you go to church. I have no doubt in my mind that's exactly where God wanted me to end up. And I burnt every single bridge. My mom would never kick me out. I burnt every single bridge until even my mom didn't want me around. And I ended up in the one place that would force me to get back to God. Then he puts the right influence on me, lets me go to just enough sermons at this church to get comfortable at that church, and then hits me in the face with one that makes me make a decision that changes my whole life. I joined the Marine Corps. It cleans me up right away. You can't do drugs in the Marine Corps. They urine test you all the time. Not to mention, you just got too much on your plate to be doing that kind of stuff. You know, I still did a lot of drinking, but it wasn't like it was before. I had things that I had to do that I was responsible for. I didn't want to screw this up. I kind of felt like it was my last chance to do something good. So I go through the Marine Corps. I got married while I was in the Marine Corps. And what's funny is another way that he kind of had his hands on me, when I was in this lifestyle where I was going to these bars every night and everything else, I met a woman right towards the end of that cycle where I was going to those bars. And as I look back on it, I was there just long enough to see her on a regular basis at one particular hangout. And we got to know each other. And we didn't even date. Like, we weren't going out on dates for a long time. Towards the end, we started dating a little bit here and there, but we weren't together, none of that. But he left me in that life just long enough to meet this woman and get to know her and build a relationship. And not a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, just a friendship relationship, a get-to-know-somebody relationship. Left me there just long enough to get that built up, and then got me out of that lifestyle where I would still keep her in my life even though I left that scene. I'm married to her. Been married to her for 10 years now. That is without a doubt the best decision, the best thing that's ever come into my life as an adult is my wife. She is everything any man could ever want for a wife. I'm not a guy that necessarily believes in one man for one woman, you know, in destiny, all that. I don't necessarily believe in that. But I know this. I could never ever find a better life partner than my wife. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. So I married her while I was in the Marine Corps. I get through the Marine Corps and I get out and all is well. I got really into golf while I was in the Marine Corps. That last year or so I did a lot of studying and training, and I had a mentor out there that helped me kind of learn the business part of it. And I decided I wanted to pursue a golf career when I got out. I got a job right away at a golf course. My wife had gotten a job before I got out in Tyler, Texas. And I got a job at a golf course outside of Tyler on the north side of town. And so we lived in a little town by the golf course because we didn't want to live right there in the city. And so we moved to Van, Texas. Well, you think, okay, everything's great. It's funny how God just keeps working on you. He keeps working on you. He keeps putting his hands on you. Because that golf course got bought out a few months after I got hired there. It got bought out by new owners. The financial situation changed. My job situation changed. My wife was pregnant. She got pregnant as soon as we got out of the Marine Corps. And that job was not going to financially support our family, even with her job included. So I only worked there for 6 months. Now, when I grew up, I was so passionate about bass fishing. I'd walk to water when I had to. It didn't matter. I wanted to fish every single day. And I loved it. Never got tired of it. I had this burning desire to catch every bass I ever could. Once I got really into high school football and in college football and in the Marine Corps, I fished from time to time, but my schedule just didn't afford me the opportunity to fish a lot. So I'd kind of gotten away from it. I still loved to do it. I did it when I could, but it just wasn't a regular part of my life anymore. Well, during that 6-month period that I worked at a golf course, there's a man that was a member there that I played with every once in a while. They invited me for him to take me fishing. And I said, man, that'd be great. I haven't done it in a long time. I would love to go bass fishing. Where are we going to go? He says, Lake Fork. I'd always heard about Lake Fork as a kid growing up. You know, as a kid in the 90s, I graduated high school in 2001. I always wanted to fish Lake Fork, never got the chance to. I grew up in South Texas. We fished Rayburn and all those lakes down in South Texas, you know, fished all of them. Southeast, all South Texas, fished all those. But I'd never gotten to fish Fork. I didn't even know when I moved to this town where Lake Fork was. So he says, we're going to go fish Lake Fork. I said, really? Man, that's awesome. Where is it? He says, I asked him how far it was. He said, it's about 30 minutes up the road. I said, are you kidding me? I can't believe it. So we go and fish Lake Fork, and that's it. I'm done. You know, I'm in love. My passion for fishing was restoked that fast, and I spent literally every single extra day, every open day that I had, I spent on the water. I went out and bought an 8-foot plastic boat with a trolling motor, and I fished every single day that I could. If I got home from work a little bit early, I was gone to the lake. And it may be Fork, it may be one of the other little lakes around here. We've got a lot of bodies of water where I live. But I was bass fishing every day that I could. And it's funny when you look back on that and you think, well, you only worked there for 6 months. What are the odds you meet somebody that took you fishing at Lake Fork? And it's just kind of funny, you know, it just really feels like somebody had his hand on that. So things move on and progress, you know, and I'm fishing all the time. And I got me a new job in sales and distribution line of work, and things are going well. We get pregnant for a second time. At the time that we got pregnant, I had no idea. We were barely making it financially. And I had no idea how I could even pay for the pregnancy. I didn't know how I was even going to pay for the birth of the child, let alone support the second child. On top of this, he's got daycare when he comes out. And just, I had no idea. I was so stressed out. I had no idea what was going on. And I wasn't praying at this time. I wasn't going to church at this time. I wasn't doing anything. But all I knew was to go to work and work as hard as I possibly could and just do the best I can. Work weekends. I worked every weekend that I could. I was allowed to do that at that time at the company I was with. And it's kind of funny because from the day she told me she was pregnant until the day that child was born, I got 3 promotions. It's never happened before, never happened since. You tell me somebody isn't watching out for you. You tell me that no matter how much you ignore him, that he's not looking out for you. If you give your life to him and you tell him that you're his child and you need him in your life, you ask for that, and then you tell me when things like this happen that he's not sitting there steering your life in the right direction. You know, we were so worried about how we were going to pay for that baby, and then we got those 3 promotions. And with those 3 promotions, I was making enough money more than what I previously made that my wife was actually able to stay home once we had the second child. My wife got to stay home and raise our children at home for their first few years because of the promotions that I got in that short time period. Isn't God great? You hear me? Isn't he wonderful? So things move on. Here's one more for you. My wife goes to me and says, hey, we really need to find a church. And we had tried some out, and it just didn't fit. None of them were the right fit for us. Well, in the brief, 2 years that my oldest son was in daycare, one of his teachers there, my wife and her became really good friends. And I'd never met her husband, didn't know her husband from Adam, but they became really good friends, and her husband was a preacher. So my wife says, hey, why don't we go to their church? And I'm like, okay, well, where is it? She says, Quitman, Texas. Now, Quitman, Texas, from my house to that church is a 45-minute drive one way. I normally would never agree to go, because I'm like everybody else. You know, none of us have time anymore. Nobody has any time. We're all so busy, especially when you have 2 kids. I would normally never agree to a 45-minute one-way drive to just go try a church out. But for those of you from Northeast Texas, y'all know Quitman, Texas is right next to Lake Fork. So how could I go up to Lake Fork every single weekend and then say, no, I can't drive 10 minutes further or 5 minutes further to go to church? See, God kind of put me in a situation there where I didn't have a choice. I had to say yes because I was already going up there every weekend anyway. How could I, in good conscience, say no to that drive when I make that drive every weekend anyway? So we go. And it's a wonderful fit. They're the same age as us. He's preaching. I relate really good to him. It's just a wonderful fit. I love everything. I love everything about the way he preaches. And we stayed at that church until he left. He left to go to another church, to start up another church. Him and a friend they're working on it right now, starting up their own. So until here real recently, we were going to that church. And it has really helped my family. Helped us get closer to God, helped me be a better father and a better husband, and helped my kids to meet God at a very early age in their life, which I'll be forever grateful for because I know what it did for me. It never ceases to amaze me how much he's pushing us in the right direction. Even when we're running as fast as we can the other direction, he'll grab you, gently nudge you until you get right back by his side where you belong. And that's it, guys. That brings you to today. And all I can say is God is great. It's the greatest thing you could ever do for yourself, is to get a relationship with God. I know there's a lot of you out there that don't believe, and that's fine. God loves you, and so do I. We don't think there's nothing wrong with you. You're not a bad person in any way. Now, I've come to a situation in our life, and I don't want to go into the details of it because it's not happening to me, it's happening to another member of my family. But something really bad is going on in our personal life within our family. And I think it's something that right now the long-term outlook is good, but it's a situation that's going to try our family, and it is going to test my faith. When I found out what was happening, I cursed God's name, and I was very upset with him for several days. And I'm still confused, and I don't understand it. So I'm going to be testing my faith over the next 6 months to a year, at least. But I know he's proven to me so many times in my life how he has my best interest in mind. And he's done so many awesome things in my life. And I wouldn't have people in my life that I'm so worried about right now, I wouldn't have them without him. So, I'll take my hat off and say it right here and right now. Lord, please forgive me for taking your name in vain. And being upset because I don't understand. Lord, please protect my family and forgive me for my sins. If there's anybody out there and you've watched this video and you've watched till the end, God has blessed you with a lot of patience, number one. And number two, if you're on the fence, or maybe you think you've just messed up too bad and God can't be in your life anymore, maybe you think you don't deserve God in your life. He loves you unconditionally. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, no matter how long it's been, no matter how bad the things you've done are, all he wants you to do is tell him that you're sorry and you need him in your life and that you love him. Because he loves you unconditionally, no matter what. I hope this can help somebody. I'm nervous about putting this much personal information out there, but this is the truth. Whether it's fishing, whether it's Christ, you guys get the truth on this channel. So I guess I'll wrap it up like this. Merry Christmas to each and every one. I hope that you have a joyous and wonderful holiday. And I hope that you remember how much our God loves each and every one of us. He loves me and he loves y'all too. If there's anybody in your family that you know that's struggling, if you're the one that's struggling, please reach out. Reach out to a leader in the faith community in your area. Don't try to go through it alone. This life is hard. God is here and he puts good Christian people in positions of leadership to help you. Please reach out to them. Reach out to God. One more time. Merry Christmas. God bless all of y'all. I hope y'all have a great holiday. Thank you for watching. And we'll see y'all next time.